control the vertigo.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthology with host Mark. Today we are revisiting The Night Gallery Season 3 Episode 4, first aired on the 29th of October 1972. As close to Halloween as you can get. This one is called Spectre and Tap Shoes. Now, as I'd mentioned before, Season 3 had changed format from the first two seasons and there were much shorter episodes. Unusually a single story. This one is such is the case. We're talking about a 24-minute story. This one was from the story was sort of proposed by Jack Laird and written by Gene Kearney, directed by Jenna Schwartz, who has directed quite a lot of episodes and does a pretty good job. And I finally looked up how to pronounce his name because I was never that sure. Jenna Schwartz is how I understand it said. Spectre in Tap Shoes. This one specifically stars Sandra Dee, who was, I think, a child actress who was always in sort of lightweight roles. She's given her something a bit meatier in this one. She does a decent job. However, this is a well-worn story and delivered, and the screenplay is okay. And Jenna Schwartz is really trying to ramp up the sort of melodrama and sort of mysterious aspects of it. And he does a decent job because he always does a decent job. But, it's basically a very average kind of story. It starts with her returning home on a stormy day. Apparently she lived with her sister and she walks in and there's something not quite right about the house, and she goes upstairs and finds her sister hanging in a very sort of, explosive or, dramatic way. She finds her sister hanging. We see her sort of close up of her face in a soft focus lens as she screams, and we see a pair of feet hanging, someone is obviously hanging, and we see tap shoes. From there, she is thrown into depression. She's lived with her sister and she doesn't know what to do. Her name is Millicent. Her sister's name, who killed herself, is Marion. Marion was quite a little bit different. Marion smoked, for example, and Millicent didn't. Marion was a tap dancer and Millicent wasn't. There was things like that. And there's some interesting background in this, in that Sandra had to learn to tap dance for this particular role, and she did do that. It's kind of interesting. However, it goes on and she starts hearing things in the house. She's like locked away in the house, depressed. She's got a kindly friend called Sam, who's, is played okay. Who says, well, maybe it's time to move on. Maybe you should talk to the man who's sort of made an offer of buying the property from you, called William Jason. So Sam knows this guy, and it turns out he also knows Marion, actually, towards the end. And I'm going to spoil this story. So he says he owns the whole block, and it would make his be a business benefit to own everything, and it'll help her move beyond her, what's going on with her sister. She refuses, but she starts hearing Marion calling her. She starts hearing tap dancing quite a lot. There's quite a lot of tap. So this has got touches of Telltale Heart, really. A bit like the last one we reviewed. But you know, Millicent is innocent. She hasn't done anything wrong. But the voices kind of suggest maybe she should put on the costume that Marion wore while tap dancing. She does that. She also puts on a red-headed wig, so she looks like much more like a sister. She's also taken up smoking, and the voices and stuff are encouraging her. And then she goes back up to the studio where it all happened, and there's a noose there ready. And then there's another voice, Marion's voice, urging her, you know, to put her neck in it. So again, we're getting touches of something like the seventh victim. Actually, you know what? This is really riffing on Gaslight. This is riffing on ultimately riffing on Le Diabolique, that kind of thing. Ultimately, we find out William Jason is behind this. He has planted devices all over the house so he can pipe in sound. How he's reproduced the sister's voice, I do not know, but he is. But suddenly, sort of, Marion changes. He goes to a grand piano and pulls out a gun and sort of says, "I'm ready for you this time." And she also seems to know about where the letters are. Basically, Marion and William Jason were having a love affair, and he sent her love letters, which she tried to use for blackmail. And it's implied that Jason arranged the hanging, in effect. Especially when she says, "I'm ready for you this time." You know, she kind of knows. And she shoots him. And then the police arrive. And basically, we find out that this man was having an affair with Marion. And he really wanted the house to tear it down to look for the letters. That's really his motivation. So all the wires and stuff is the explanation for Marion's ghost. But as it goes out, she says to Sam, "But how did I know where the gun was? How did I know where the letters was?" And then suddenly she looks up and she can hear tap dancing. So Marion is still there. It was okay. Sandra Dee was fine. I haven't seen her in much. I kind of know her name from Grease. She's her name is mentioned in A Song in Grease, isn't it? The movie. So yeah, I quite like the direction, but I thought this was very mediocre in all other respects. We do see a bit of Rod Serling at the beginning, actually appearing, as well as talking over the always wonderful picture that they tend to use in these. You know, they've got some great pictures in the gallery. And, you know, I wouldn't mind any of them on my wall, to be honest. That's how much I like it. But, yeah, there's a few other characters turn up as well. You know, there's a mailman and things like that. But essentially, there's also a doctor she goes to see about her problems. But it's it feels a little padded, but it was okay. I mean, if this was in the season 1 or 2 show, I think this would be a 15-minute segment, to be honest, and cut down somewhat. But it was all right. But, you know, season 3 is not delivering so much, and I didn't expect it to because I've just heard bad things about it, so not too surprised by that. So yeah, I am going to wind it up there, but before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to